Very excited today to be in touch with Audimute, who happens. I've got to say this as a side note. People know I'm a huge Ohio State fan, having grown up, in
Oh,
Columbus. So it's always good to talk to some fellow Buckeyes.
well,
Hey,
great.
whether you all claim to be Buckeyes or not, I don't know. But for me, if you're from Ohio, there you go. You're a Buckeye.
Yeah.
I just recently, and I'll introduce you to the players here in just a moment, but just so you know kind of how this came about, I have a good friend of mine by the name of Greg Yates, who he's a podcaster and happened to win a contest at some sort of convention and won something you guys were giving away. And he set it up, and I was over at his house one night, and he said, Bill, you got to check this out. So I went over, and it was what you guys call the Strata. It was those really nice acoustic tile type thing. Forgive me, Mitch, if I'm screwing up the terminology, but I stuck my face up in it and began to talk, and I could not believe how much was being absorbed into it. And I thought, I got to learn more about this because that's the battle for voiceover talent who work from home, getting a good acoustic space. So that brings us to why we are on the line here with Audimute. We've got Mitch Slotnick, who is the owner. Mitch, raise your hand so people know who you are. Okay, great. We've got Kevin Reynolds, the general manager. All right, and then that leaves, of course, we've saved the best for last. Elizabeth Wade, who is the account manager who's been working with me and making all of this happen. And today, Alex and I, my son, the audio engineer, were actually setting up a booth that was created by Audimute. But let's back up a little bit. Mitch, tell me, how long have you been in business? What inspired you to do what you're doing right now?
Wow, that's a big loaded question.
And you only have 15 seconds to answer. No, I'm kidding. We're not putting you on the clock today.
I'm a drummer, gone science geek, and solve problems for drummers that suddenly started finding myself successful in that market, and then was pulled through, someone finds out, hey, I know a guy who did a great job over here. Hey, they should use him over here and this kind of thing. And then what started as a simple solve problem for drummers like myself, including solving my own problem, became solving that in various applications, ranging from musicians to Fortune 500 companies.
Okay, so it doesn't matter whether it's a space within a corporate environment or whether you're dealing with churches and auditoriums or people like me who sit in these little booths in their basement.
Yeah, well, the booth in the basement, and it's interesting because you'd think that there'd be such a big change into, Mitch really doesn't know a lot about industrial sound because their products are really beautiful and decorative, or we don't know so much about this environment because we're over here. Well, sound is sound. And then you understand how space affects sound. It is kind of tricky to niche yourself in different markets because people think, this company goes after podcasters and they work in small spaces and that's their expertise. The same expertise in working in that space enables you to work in larger spaces. It truly is the same. Sound is sound. So the application is huge, and sound problems rear themselves in really nasty ways. I always say that sound is like a good haircut. If you don't notice it, it's good. And if you're in when it's bad, it causes you not to go back to a restaurant,
right.
Maybe not enjoy your time at work. Productivity, can be affected certainly as people are interrupted by other conversations or just annoying clicks. Sometimes spaces are too quiet. You have to look at what the situation is calling for. What is the customer trying to do? And it took us about, we've been doing this about 17 years, and it took us about 8 to really figure out what it is we do and why we were successful. And we realized that we had a method to our madness, and it was there's a process that we go through pretty much every time, and that lent itself to being successful in these different types of acoustic applications.
So it really doesn't matter the environment. Like you said, sound is sound, and the expertise.
Yeah, and that we can't solve it, but we're going to certainly know why.
Right.
Where you market yourself in a particular way, we really, what's exciting is the part that customers don't see that allow all these things to happen, starting with a methodology, starting with a great team. And why is this team great? Why is Kevin such a gem, and why is Liz so wonderful? And not just these guys, but the whole team is because
I get that vibe from you guys. Yeah, you like each other too.
Yeah. We do. I do. In fact, I miss Liz a lot because of the COVID thing. I haven't seen her, So it's like, Liz, there you are. How are you, girl?
There's a face to the touch.
Yeah, and so we're kind of out of touch, but at the same time, we really still share this passion for solving problems and working as a team, even though we're apart. But it's the operation that's kind of neat, where we've kind of set up a really unique culture, one that's focused on our customers, one that's about safety, working with green products and keeping our solutions very easy and keeping them affordable, so we can take high-end decorative design, things that you probably would think that would only be found in some very expensive applications or unique applications, and here we can make them available to everyone every day, from musicians to folks that own small business or what have you, wherever sound problems exist. But what we did was we took a healthy core, and this is what enables us to be so versatile, a cellulose-based core that, by tweaking the density and tweaking the how we can finish it, and the versatility of that particular design of this product, the densities to handle different types of sound applications and such, and shapes and form to handle different decorative applications, we're able to hide or blend in to almost any environment, and often become a featured element in that space. So it's really diverse, and we've done this in a way where we only have to change about 5% of our processes, our everyday processes, in order to make something really unique for each customer. And that's a very powerful tool operationally. That's how we're able to be affordable, because we're able to leverage those operational efficiencies. And the passion, when you find out what you can do with this, and as I just showed you earlier before we started, the Acoustwood wall, I did that in an hour this morning with some pieces that we had left over from a job, and it was like, it's easy and it's fun and it's creative, and I think people will enjoy that excitement being a part of their projects, or certainly the installers will enjoy the fact that it's easy to be successful. And our focus is not so much on the product itself, or here you need to buy these panels, and all right, I'm successful because I bought panels. If you can't do in the space that which you originally intended, then we have not been successful. That's our whole story.
Now, you need to develop a little enthusiasm, if I may offer a suggestion. I'm kidding. No, I love the energy.
On is not the hard part. It's turning me off.
Yeah, you mentioned something earlier about, you geek out on this stuff, which is awesome. I can tell you're really passionate about it. You mentioned a moment ago something about a cellulose core and the density. Is that, and we don't need to go into all the very specifics, but is that like the secret sauce of understanding how this all works?
I think the secret sauce is knowing what to put in the right application, regardless of the methodology you're going to use to solve the problem. For example, if you have a high heat application, I may not recommend my product. If you have an application, we say this often around here, the best solution is to not need one.
Right.
If this doesn't have to happen at the same time this is happening, well, you know what? You pretty much solved the sound problem. The idea isn't to sell you something. It's to get you a solution and get to a point where you can be successful in what you originally wanted to do in that space.
Well, we're talking to voiceover talent who have nothing but problems when it comes to trying to get good audio from home. I mean, it's crazy. And the things that I've tried and other people have tried, I mean, just trying to find the right space to begin with, the quietest space, because I've not found a perfect residential space. You just get the best you can and then you work from there. Dealing with everything from moving blankets to, I can't tell you how many times my wife and I have come across something like in the garage and she wants to throw away, and I say, don't throw that out. I might be able to use that sometime because, I don't know, it could be a mattress topper, it could be anything. And it's, we're always looking for that, Shangri-La, that place where we can have good audio. So speak to that. Can it be fixed? Can we achieve nirvana?
You can, or at least the best nirvana in your space that's possible.
Yeah.
And again, if you're doing your show and it's right at before dinner and everybody's rowdy and crazy and they're trying to, you're trying to get it, peace and quiet, and everyone's just rambunctious because they're hungry. And you got kids around, dogs barking, mailman comes, who knows what's going on. The best thing is, okay, can you do it at night when no one's around and everything's, no one's visiting? Amazon's not showing up with a package and all these things, So it's the best solution to not need one. I think what you said is the words to me that got me were try. We keep trying things. We're gonna take a swing at this. We're gonna try something like this. It's like, you know what? I think to the world of podcasters and anybody doing home voiceovers and things like this, talk to somebody who knows, whether it's us or someone who's in the field that's been there a while. let them explain their methodology for how they go about solving your problem, why this is going to work, and make them acoustically accountable. I like to be acoustically accountable. I'm here to make sure that what you get works. So there's no trying, there's no guessing. And we can take phased approaches, like, so we can arrive at the right point. But it's not going to be guesswork as to what's going to work, and whether or not the moving blanket on the wall is going to be effective versus, say, an Audimute sheet product, which is made very differently with an intent. So it really is a matter of grabbing onto an expert. And I'm glad to say Liz is one of them. I'm glad to help. Kevin helps. Everybody here, like I said, we're very passionate about what we do. Let us help. Stop guessing. Don't try this and try that. Let's get you set up. And we're going to get you set up with something that's proven and it works.
Well, just as a personal testimonial, I've been on the line a couple of times with Elizabeth and Kevin, and you guys have been wonderful to work with, and I'm really excited to get to setting this up here in just a bit. But when you're, in terms of voiceover, you had developed a vision at some point that you wanted to create something that could be used for podcasters, home voice talent, that could be set up easily, that would be affordable, maybe compared to some other solutions, not going out and buying a $5,000 booth or whatever the case may be, and be mobile. And so talk to us about the unit that actually, that Alex and I will be setting up and testing out later today.
Okay, so what I believe you have is Audimute sheets.
Yes.
You have a hanging solution that is relatively new for us as well. And what you have is actually my first and most favorite product at Audimute. And it's gone through many revisions for improvements. We listen to our customers, we make changes accordingly. And what you're going to do is we're going to, just as musicians, and when I was, I didn't have roots, I didn't have wife, kids, home, and these kinds of things where I needed something portable. I needed something that was effective. I needed something that I didn't have to have nasty chemicals around me because I'm sensitive to that type of stuff. And I have a dust allergy and all these kinds of things. So I needed something that fit all these situations, and I had to create something because it wasn't out there. Yeah. People doing voiceovers. My cousin was doing voiceovers. And as I was trying to handle drums, very different sound problems, by the way. I wanted to not have the police show up while I was practicing, even though it was ultimately the biggest compliment they could give me. We go, please turn the stereo down. Oh, thank you so much.
They thought you were an actual recording, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're too kind. Thank you. Thank you. But it's more of, versus the voice environment, and plus the drum environment, I guess, as well with the band. You still need a qualitative effect there. So you needed something that was, could be moved easily, could be set up quickly, was easy to handle, can be safe. Obviously it's a big thing for me, both certainly for my clients and better believe it for my customers and internally as well. Everybody we work with here at Audimute. And then it had to be just affordable because it's easy to solve, to throw money at something and come to a solution, but it had to be something very easy. It just so that was kind of the whole premise behind it. And I realized that once I can control the density of the material on the inside, and I could come up with a very cool way of putting all the elements together, we could create a significant acoustic impact, give a product versatility of portability, and make it affordable for masses. It's kind of cool.
Well, I love it. And that's exactly what Alex and I are going to be setting up this afternoon and testing out. And just so you know, Mitch, and Kevin, Elizabeth, what I've been using, I have these couch cushions, and that is I call it my portable voiceover fort. And
I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. We already talked.
It sucks. It sucks everything out of my voice, but it's like, it's all I got,
It sucks. It actually,
it sucks, yeah.
I'm trying to get you a more balanced. The trick isn't to necessarily absorb everything. Sometimes you do want to create a vocal booth, but it also feels kind of uncomfortable in there. What you want to do is balance a room, have the right amount of delay, have I would say a natural reverberation, but not one that would give you trouble during a mix down, that kind of thing. But a dry, clean sound, an honest sound, a flat sound. And that's really what I go for when I set up these booths. And I think we did a great job in the development of sheets to enable that. It's going to be interesting to hear the comparison. It'll be similar, but I'm going to hear the difference. Maybe you will too, between where you're at now with the kind of, I would call it just generic studio polyurethane foam type thing, versus what you're going to experience with an Audimute sheet.
some of the stuff that's in this booth is like the cheapest stuff I could find on Amazon when I first got started, and it's virtually useless. I have it just up here, so there's something behind me when I talk.
We could hold clothing up there too. Would have saved you a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, it's so good to talk to people who understand our issues because. Did
you underwear? No, I'm sorry.
All you see is here up. You have no idea what's going on. I am wearing clothes though, but it's not absorbing enough.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
well, that's another element to this thing. We're really looking for spaces that you can be proud of, that are that work for you, not just functionally, but decoratively, and they have the form that you're looking for to have pride in your work and that kind of thing. I'm glad
you brought that up, Kevin, because this stuff is stunning. I wouldn't expect, and I mean this in the kindest way, like an audio geek. I think maybe use that word yourself. If not, I'm so sorry that I just did. But I mean, that's your thing, Yeah. That's. But yeah, this material is gorgeous. I mean, it's aesthetically really nice.
If I can jump back on the soapbox,
yeah.
So here's what we wanted to do was create something, and this is really like what we call the integration portion of our methodology. And this integration element is, how do we add value beyond the sound problem, solving the sound problem alone? And that's really where you get this huge benefit of value. And sometimes it's even greater than that of the original problem that we've solved. So this is kind of a basic solution behind me here, right?
Yeah.
And then if you publish culture in a workplace, you could have something like this, where now
nice.
You words and you're creating branding inside a space. Oh, but suddenly you're at a school, and now we just need to do some posters, and we need to do some tack board, and that also has to be acoustical. And then maybe sometimes you have this ceiling. Well, we have a ceiling opportunity. We have to kind of look at some things on the ceiling and see if that's a first point of. And then sometimes you get into this weird thing where now you're doing some funky designs where you're going to be a design element and you're going to be the feature. And then sometimes, I can't show you here because it would look really weird, but you can go underneath. We go underneath the tables and we hide in out of sight spaces for secondary and tertiary reflections off the floor of restaurants. And that's,
oh my goodness.
So there's a lot more going on in the voodoo. It's not just, hey, here's some panels we can't wait to sell to you. It's like we look and see into the application, what you're trying to accomplish, and then what's the best thing that helps you do what you do in that space. And there's things that we know that you don't know. Like, we know that, well, you kind of know this, but people don't implement it well, which is, how do we make a workspace fun? How do we get people to work better together? How do we help you communicate your brand to your customers, tell your story as people are in your space, both the employees and customers? So it's so much more beyond just the sound problem when you have this opportunity to look and feel like something else other than what's behind you right now.
Well, you guys are true gurus. And it looks great. It sounds great. And you understand what we need, which is so important. And I can't overstate the frustration that most of us deal with when it comes to that, because it's part of the competitive product that we try to create. And if you can be super talented, but if your audio is not super great, then it really doesn't matter. You've lost before you even begin.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
So I'm looking forward to, we're going to get this thing set up. Elizabeth, if I get stuck, I'm going to call you, okay? I may send up, if you see a flare go up, that's me. But
That's okay.
Actually, it looks so dead simple to set up. Only I would be able to screw something like that up, by the way. But I think the average person, I'm sure, could.
I mean, that's always a challenge. I mean, so if you get stuck, I don't want you to set up, this big embarrassing moment for yourself. I mean, it's not, you haven't done it before, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here. And if people have issues, they certainly call us. They call us certainly when they have the sound problem. They can certainly give us a shout. And the things are easy to do, but you don't do this every day. We understand that. So I'm glad we can work with you on this thing. It's also very new to us even. And then, every time I've done an installation personally, I'm always learning something new about how our product fits into a new environment. That's why I do installations. I want to have my hands on it. I don't find myself to be a super talented, weekend warrior with tools and building things. That's Kevin's gig. He's also a grease monkey in the garage, and he really knows the stuff. I'm like, if I can do it, I know our customers can handle it. And we make sure it's easy for installers. We make sure it's really easy for end users. And typically, as a manufacturer to the end user type model, we're very edgy about our product. We're invested in it in a huge way, passionately. And if there's any issues, we want to know about them because, by God, we want to fix them. So we're all open. We're accessible. We're here to listen, and that's how we improve.
Well, I'm so excited to work with you guys. You're a godsend. I'm excited to dive into it, which is where I'm headed right now. So, Mitch and Elizabeth and Kevin, thank you guys so much. Again, Audimute, and it's Audimute, AUDIMUTE.com, where you can check that out. All right, guys. I will be in touch soon.
Thank you again.
Thanks, Bill.